guys doing today? I hope your day is going well so far. Today's video is actually going to be another love it or leave it review. I feel like I've only done one other of these before, and it was for the Infinite Lash, which I am still loving. If you guys haven't seen that video, I will leave it down below. But today we are going to actually be talking about a drugstore product, and a new drugstore product at that. I don't feel like I've seen any, no I haven't. I haven't seen anyone talk about these yet besides on vlogs. I haven't seen a video on it yet. So I wanted to get on here and show you guys. This is the L'Oreal La Palette Nude 1. So this is more of a warmer neutral palette. There is a second one, which I went to 2 or 3 different Walmarts, multiple Walgreens, and all of them just had the coming soon stand on it. They didn't have it. And that one is kind of similar to the Urban Decay Naked 3. So it's lots of rose gold and plums. So you get 10 shades in here, a mixture of shimmers and mattes. Then you get a dual-ended little brush doodad here. It has a sponge tip applicator on one side and a brush on the other, which I actually did find useful. Then you do have a bar mirror going across the top. Now, I did get mine at Walmart, and this palette was pretty darn pricey for a drugstore palette, but I feel like L'Oreal, well, all drugstore products in general have gone up. But I feel like L'Oreal and Physicians Formula are definitely the two that are up the highest. So this palette was $15.84, which I don't know. I feel like that is pretty pricey, but I feel like a lot of people are going to grab this and think it's going to be a good alternative for the Urban Decay Naked palette. So I do have them on right now. It is what I'm wearing on my eyes. I'm not sure if I'm going to insert a clip of me applying it because I did film it, but it's just seriously so simple. It was 3 colors. My feelings on this palette, I feel like if it was cheaper, I may feel differently about it, but I just feel like for $16, these palettes could have been better. I know that the Wet n Wild line has one by Fergie that's pretty similar to this. I haven't swatched it myself, but I have seen that one on blogs, and I feel like the pigmentation of those look way more intense than these. This palette is very hit or miss. I feel like the matte shadows in this palette are nice. However, a lot of the shimmery ones are complete duds. That is why I went in and used this sponge tip applicator. The color that's on the center of my lid is this shade right here. When applying it with a brush, it did absolutely nothing except create crumbles down my face. I tried it with my finger. Most of the product just stayed on my finger and didn't transfer onto my lid. So that was pretty frustrating. Like I said though, I feel like the mattes are really nice. Some of the darker shimmery tones like these 3 right here are okay, but I feel like once again, you almost want to go in with a sponge tip applicator. If you use a flat shader brush, the color is just kind of so-so. It's just not that great of a payoff when it comes to pigmentation. So I feel like overall it is nice to use a sponge tip applicator with this palette, especially if you dampen the little sponge tip. So I'll go ahead and give you guys some swatches now. So starting off from this side here, which is technically, you know, whatever, we're holding it this side because of the mirror. Okay, so starting off with shade 1, this was one that went on smoother than the rest. This is what I have on my brow bone. It's not a full metallic shade. I want to say it's more of a satin color. Then next up we have this nice kind of peachy rose gold. This one did apply nicely on the lid. So you can see that one has a really nice metallic finish in it. If they were all this quality and formula, I feel like this palette would be great. Now moving on to the first matte shade. The mattes are the one colors in this palette that I feel like do apply nicely. This is what I have buffed into my crease kind of as a blending color. Next up we have this gold shade here, which feels smooth, but when you apply it, it's just not that great of a color. It's super patchy. See what I mean? This one has such a nice pretty metallic finish, and then this one is just kind of like, can't make up his mind whether he's a metallic or satin. Okay, now moving on to these next 2 matte shades. These 2 are probably some of my favorites in the palette. They apply super smooth. I really love this one. This is the color that I have on my both inner and outer corner. So there are those swatches. Totally excuse my nails, they look awful. Okay, now moving on to these 2 metallic shades here. This one is actually really nice. It's kind of like a smoky silvery taupe color. This one applied nice on the lid. This one was another product where I felt like I had to use a sponge tip applicator. It just didn't apply nicely with a brush. That's total spray tan fail. See what I mean? That color is super pretty though. Okay, and then the very final shade here is the one that I have on the center of my lid, and it's just more of a kind of pearly silvery color, but once again, it was another one that I felt like I had to use a sponge tip applicator with. So I hope those swatches helped you out a bit. I would say if you guys are looking for a drugstore product and you don't already own the Urban Decay Naked or the Loreal Pro, or just a general palette that has nice neutrals in it, I would totally skip on this. Unless you're just on a budget and you don't own any other neutral eyeshadows, then by all means go for this. But personally, I feel like there's other drugstore shadows out there that are much better. For instance, the Wet n Wild shadows. I don't know why they discontinued those neutral 6-pan palettes. Those palettes were absolutely amazing. I really want to get my hands on that Wet n Wild Fergie palette though. I feel like that one would be way better than this one. I recently got the e.l.f. Prism palette in, I believe it's natural or neutral, no, naked. And that one doesn't have any mattes. That's the only downside to that. However, the shimmer shadows in that are way better than the ones in here. If this was an all matte palette, I think it would have been much nicer because like I said earlier, the matte shadows in this palette are great. However, the shimmery shadows, it's like there were 2 that were good in the palette, and then other than that, the rest were just, I hate to be this negative, but garbage. They just didn't perform well whatsoever. So if you guys are really wanting to get a palette, this one, like I said, is $15.84 if you get it at Walmart. I'm sure it's probably gonna be $2 to $3 more at Walgreens because everything at Walgreens is always more expensive than Target and Walmart. I would dole out the extra, what I want to say, $4. I believe these Morphe palettes are $19.99. You get way more shadows and the pigmentation in these are way, way better. Half the time, Morphe has some kind of 10% off coupon code. No, this isn't sponsored by any means. I just feel like if you can get more shadows in this palette and them all be better quality, then why not? This is the 35N palette, so this is all neutrals and mattes, but there are shimmery colors and all kind of different colors in the palettes, but as you can see, the pigmentation of these are way better. I've actually been using this palette quite a bit, so I would say save your money, go with something like this, or maybe the e.l.f. Naked palette from the Prism line. I have, like I said, I haven't tried that Wet n Wild palette yet, but from swatches alone, that one looks way better, and overall, from the Wet n Wild shadows that I have experienced and have in my collection, I feel like the pigmentation, the blendability of those are just way, way better. So for $15.84, this for me is a total leave it. I don't think the $16 after tax is worth having, 3 good matte shades. It's just, I don't know. It's a bummer because I really did want this to be a good product because that would be amazing to have a good neutrals palette at the drugstore, but I just don't think this one was worth it. Obviously, everyone's gonna have a different opinion. If you guys have this palette and have a different opinion, let me know. Let me see some of your looks you've created with it. Like I said, it is what I'm wearing now. You can get it to work, but I just feel like it takes a lot more effort. I can't lie, I'm still kind of curious about the plum one though. Just from various blogs that I've seen photos of, I feel like the plum one looks so much nicer. But yeah, this one just wasn't for me. I'm sad to say because I hate finding products that just aren't that great. I go in with like a positive attitude and I'm gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna love this, and I really wanted to, but you win some, you lose some. But yeah, I hope this video was helpful for you guys. If you guys have any comments, questions, or if you guys would like to see more of these love it / leave it reviews, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!